Back better than ever. This is the Sixers Talk podcast presented to you by Wilmington University. Wilmu Works. I'm Ben Berry, joined by the one, the only, the great Noah Levick from NBC Sports Philadelphia, our Sixers beat writer. Noah, how you doing today?
Doing well, Ben. Doing well. Thank you.
No, back better than ever. I'm glad you're joining us. Before we get into it, if you're listening, go on YouTube, Apple, Spotify, rate, give us 5 stars. If you give us anything less, I'm going to call you a hater. You can call me an idiot or whatever in the comment section. But Noah's great. You can't say anything negative about him. Noah, Summer League basketball is here. The Sixers' first game was a lot of fun to watch. Those second-year players, Tyrese Maxey and the others, they really shine. What did you like so far from seeing from those young guys in Summer League ball?
Yeah, I think that was the main takeaway, that the second-year players, Maxey, Isaiah Joe, and Paul Reed all were very impressive, and you expect them to have a bit of a leg up on the rookies or the fringe or worse than fringe NBA players they were going against, but they all looked extremely strong. Jaden Springer admitted to us he had some jitters and had a rough shooting start, ended up going 4 for 12 from the field, but I thought he was exactly what you expected defensively. Really strong for an 18-year-old, slides his feet well, has good instincts, and just a really solid defensive foundation. So I think it was nice to see, at least very initially, that the defensive skills translated with a little step up in level. But look, the Mavs are not the greatest Summer League team. Probably Tyrell Terry was their best player, whereas the Sixers, I think, had a more talented roster on paper and delivered with a blowout win in their first game. So you never want to read too much into Summer League, but Maxey especially was very impressive with the willingness to shoot threes, knocking down 3 of 6, even had a really nice step back try. And Joe and Reed, as I said, brought exactly what you expected to the table in terms of Isaiah Joe with the sweet 3-point shooting. Paul Reed, I believe, had 4 blocks and 3 steals and just was everywhere defensively. So well done by the Sixers second-year guys in the first basketball game that we've seen since the horror for Sixers fans of June 20th.
You know the exact date. I try to block it out of my mind, but Tyrese Maxey looked like I don't want to say a star because it's Summer League, but everything we saw from him last year as fans and people that cover the team, it continued in that first Summer League game. And it makes you think, like, you want to see him more against elite competition, give him more playing time. It was a lot of fun to watch. I believe he had, 19 in the first half. It was just a lot of fun to watch. Joe showed he could be a 3-and-D guy. He knocked down some big threes, solid defensively. And Reed was just fun to watch. I wish we could see more of him. I hope we get to see more of him this upcoming year. One thing not noticed, not actually watching the game, but reading comments and just trying to stay up on the team, was Springer saying Maxey's word of advice and encouragement to him. I thought that was big. Maxey is not only a second-year player, but for what it's worth in this Summer League, taking sort of a leadership responsibility and role for these younger players.
Yeah, it's funny. I remember maybe it was late in last season. Someone asked him, like, when you're not a rookie anymore, what will your advice be for the younger guys? And to his credit, he had a pretty convincing answer. Talked about the importance of being ready to step in any situation, and that as a rookie, there's no such thing as an off day. Like, the expectation is that you're working to get better every single day. He reiterated some of those comments after this last game, and it is impressive that he is more than willing to be a leader and to mentor players that are even younger than him. And at the moment, there's only one on the Sixers. Maxey is 20, and Springer will turn 19 years old during training camp. So I think that's cool to see. I think it shows you that while Maxey is very determined and somewhat single-minded about his individual development, he's also a team-oriented guy who likes to see his teammates succeed and do whatever he can to help them out. Springer, I think, also mentioned Rajon Tucker and Isaiah Joe as folks who, in his first couple of days of professional basketball, have been very helpful to him and have been encouraging him and helping him make this adjustment. So, yeah, that's definitely something you like to hear outside of the on-court success. That already this group seems to like each other, seems to be supportive of each other, and they have very high ambitions too. Both Maxey and Paul Reed mentioned like the ultimate goal here is winning. They want to win a summer league championship, and who knows if that's realistic. I think summer league games, you tend to get some pretty wild and unpredictable fluctuations in performance. But if you have a relative veteran and high level player like Tyrese Maxey leading the way, and if he stays on this team, I think it's at least a safe bet that he's going to score a lot of points, and the Sixers perhaps will have a chance to win a lot of these games. Next one is coming up Thursday, and it is a quote-unquote rematch against the Atlanta Hawks. So that will be a fun one. Sharif Cooper actually hit a game-winning shot in Atlanta's last game, second-round pick, super skilled lead ball handler. So him against Maxey projects to be a fun matchup in that game, I
think. What you said about Springer and not older guys, but guys that's Maxey, Reed, Joe. Older.
They're all older. They're all more experienced. Not by much, but
not much. Yeah. I don't want to make it sound like they're 10-year vets, but a little bit more experience, and them taking the time just to reach out and make sure that Springer is just all right, or doing well, mentally focused or mentally prepared. I think that says a lot. You and I are not professional athletes by any means, but I think everyone has started a new job at some point in time. And when someone that's been there for a while takes the time to just make sure you're okay and willing to sit down and answer any questions you have or check in from periodically, I think that means a lot going forward for just the team chemistry. And a summer league championship would be great, but who knows? It's a guy that could drop 50 one night and we will never hear from him again. Furkan had that big 40-point game several years ago, and like he's a rotation player in the NBA. So it's really a random odds to flip picking a card out of a deck type of thing of summer league games and championship.
Absolutely, yeah. I think it's admirable that the players have high aspirations of winning every single game and winning the title. The ultimate goal for summer league is always individual development. I think that's reflected in how the Sixers constructed this coaching staff and how most teams do. Ryan Adams, who was the former head coach of the Agua Caliente Clippers, former Doc Rivers staffer, and followed Doc Rivers to Philly. He's the head coach. Several of the Sixers player development guys are on the staff. Xavier Silas, who's a Delaware Blue Coats assistant, is on the staff. So it's all about the players getting better. Winning the games is nice, and of course they're trying to win games. There's no tanking in summer league, but just about the individual players making improvements at specific skills. And look, with someone like Maxey in particular, it is nice to see this specific skill of his three-point shooting, at least in game one. There's clearly an emphasis on it, and he performed well in that particular area of the game. So far, so good. 3 more Summer League games on tap this week, and then they will have one more guaranteed for next week. The hope is that it's a championship game, but every single team will have either a championship game or a consolation game to make it 5 in total. So 4 more to look forward to there.
No, a lot of fun, a lot of excitement. Have you watched much of the other teams play the last couple of days?
Watched a few games. Yeah, I watched a good bit of the number 1 versus number 2 matchup last night. Both guys, I think, lived up to the hype. Jalen Green and Cade Cunningham, and Sengun from the Rockets, the Turkish center, I think has also been really impressive in these early days. So yeah, I like checking in on the other rookies. How about you?
That game was a lot of fun to watch, and this morning I went back and watched some highlights because just watching them, like, they lived up to the hype so far. 2 things that stood out to me. One, if people are going to be annoyed that I bring this up, the second ball, brother, Leangelo Ball, going 5 or 6 from beyond the arc, hitting those threes. Good for him. I have no ill will toward the Ball family, but I'm sure people just saw it on social media or whatever. Then it was a guy from, I can't remember what team either. I think the Magic, that was 29 years old, made his summer league debut. I thought that was a cool story. He didn't give up on his dreams. Good for him.
Yeah, I was reading a little about that last night. He was a draft pick way back in 2013, the final pick of the NBA draft. It seems unlikely on paper that he will ever play regular season NBA minutes, but yeah, he had his little moment to shine and is taking advantage of it.
Ready to make a move? A Wilmington University education can take you where you want to go. WilmU works online or in person. Learn more at wilmu.edu.
Deja vu, Noah. Deja vu, Sixers fans. Stop me if you heard this before. It's summer. It's August. Ben Simmons releases a new workout video of him shooting jump shots in the gym. Have you seen that before, Noah?
Maybe once or twice or 3 times or quite a few times, I would say. Yeah, we're familiar.
We've seen it. Some people, years past, people got excited. I think this year, and Adam from NBC Sports Philadelphia wrote a little post about it, how fans kind of like, we've seen it already. They're not buying in on it. My thing is, which was the same with the previous videos, it's an open gym. I expected you to make at least one jump shot in an open gym without being defended or guarded. But I feel like it's also too little too late. I don't want to say the town has turned on them, but fans just like, it doesn't matter because it's not a real game. How did you feel seeing that video?
Yeah, I think kind of heading into the off season, we knew that this was a possibility. Chris Johnson, who has trained Ben Simmons in previous off seasons as well, he just puts out videos of all of his clients, and I think he knows Ben Simmons is a very prominent client, and if this is the year that Ben Simmons starts taking and making jump shots, then Chris Johnson will want some credit for that. So he's making it known that he's working with Ben Simmons and that Ben Simmons in an empty gym is making jump shots. So I think it kind of is what it is. I'm not going to spin it as a negative thing. I mean, him working on his game and shooting jump shots, it's fine. It's what he's supposed to be doing, but it's not especially relevant. It's all about what happens in games. And at this point, Ben Simmons hasn't given fans any reason to believe that the offseason shooting work is something that will be apparent in games. So we shall see if this season is any different, but no good argument to believe that it will be at this stage.
Yeah, like, fool me once, shame on me. Fool me twice, shame on you. I don't know what happens this 5th season in the league or so. The team wants him to work on it, whether he's here next year. If he goes somewhere else, other teams are going to want him to develop in that area. He's been in the league for 5 years. Tyrese Maxey last year was a rookie. He came back, as you mentioned at the top of the pod. One of the big jumping points in summer league is he's improved his 3-point shot. So, and I looked at that. That's development. Ben, like, you showing these videos, or your trainers putting out these videos, and it just doesn't mean anything. I want to see it in the actual games that matter. Preseason might be nice, but doesn't really mean anything after how things burn to the ground in the postseason. It's just, if I was on his team or if I was advising, I probably would have told Chris not to post that video, because not saying it did any harm. I just also don't think it did any good for Ben.
I think that's fair. I think he's probably at a point right now where there's not much he can do to boost his reputation among basketball fans, especially Sixers fans, other than legitimately expanding his game. And I think, frankly, many Sixers fans, it seems, don't even want to think about the possibility of that happening in a Sixers uniform. They want him gone before the season starts. And, the reports swirling out there are still that is quite a strong possibility, if not an inevitability, depending on what sources you choose to believe on that front. But yeah, it's not a negative that he's working on his game. I think he's someone that people are eager to criticize in the sense of sometimes they'll blast him if he's out doing something fun, like enjoying Wimbledon, that's not basketball related, and then they'll blast him for practicing basketball, or at least having that practice, shown via his trainer's Instagram video. So he's kind of in a no-win situation in terms of his public profile until he starts playing meaningful games again. And unfortunately, we have to wait quite a while until that actually happens, at least a few months.
Yeah, we're a little over a month away from training camp, 2 months away from the start of the season, I believe, maybe 2.5 months. I can't remember off the top of my head.
Yeah, late October will be.
Late October.
Late September will be training camps. So there's still a decent chunk of the offseason left for us to get through here.
A lot for us to get through, a lot of time for us to get through. Noah, what are you working on at NBCSportsPhilly.com?
Yeah, this week the main focus is Summer League. So had observations on that first game. I will continue to have the same on these ensuing games. And then for down the line, I'm working ahead on some film review stuff, just catching up on the Sixers' new additions, and we'll eventually have some content there reviewing exactly what those guys bring to the table that fans need to know.
Oh, that's dope. That's dope. Well, that's Noah Levick, the one, the only, the great. He's what The Rock was to pro wrestling. Noah is the Sixers beat reporting. Check out his work at NBCSportsPhilly.com. Before we get out of here, Noah, new documentary on Netflix, not Sixers related, but basketball related. Untold, The Malice at the Palace. I don't know if you watched it yet. I watched it last night. It was some new details about the Malice at the Palace, which was one of the most memorable nights, at least in our lifetime in basketball, that I didn't know about. I knew when they got in the locker room, Ron Artest asked Jermaine if he thought they was going to get in trouble, which is still amazing to me. But I didn't know Reggie Miller almost got arrested. Pepper sprayed that night. So a little bit of new details. It's short. It's about an hour. So I would tell you and our listeners to check that out. They're basketball fans. Good
to know. Yeah, I had it on my list and I'm looking forward to it. I always remember it very vividly because it was actually my 10th birthday. So I remember hearing about it and then, gathering details, watching what happened later on TV. Definitely a big night for the NBA.
I was at either a Sixers or a Flyers game that night. I can't remember. And I got home and I was in high school and and I just stayed up late, woke up early and continued to watch the coverage. And as they'll get in that documentary, how the narrative kind of changed overnight. But want everyone to check it out. For Noah Levick, I'm Ben Berry, Danny Pomels. I believe we'll be back next week from vacation. This was the Sixers Talk podcast presented to you by Will Mew. Will Mew Work.